Good morning, y'all. So, I study slavery and the slave trade, and something that I wish I'd known when I was in graduate school doing a lot of this research is that really good history, if you are doing it right, if you are reclaiming the past, recovering the past, um, it it comes with a lot of emotions. There are a lot of feelings, a lot of really difficult feelings that you have to sit with, and depending on who you are, your positionality, as they call it in the academy, um, on what your family history is, on how much you know about the world, those feelings are going to be different for a lot of people. And something that I wish had been part of my program, or something that I wish people had helped me with, were the intense emotions that come with uncovering essentially the receipts for a mass human atrocity, right? Like for my book, Pirates of the Slave Trade, I had to look at primary sources from European slave traders who went to Africa to traffic in human beings. And I spent years, like I got a Fulbright, I was really fortunate, and got to spend a year in the Netherlands looking at the records of the West India Company, the slave trading company. And I spent all that time reading the words of people who traffic other people for a living for a year. I just sat there in an archive and just absorbed everything, absorbed a whole year of people talking about other humans as if they were objects. And it messed me up. It messed me up. And it made me feel so many feelings. And I felt like nobody around me was able to help. So I didn't even try to go to them with the feelings because I felt like, my black colleagues, a lot of them who study the same thing, maybe could have helped, but I'm a white person. I'm not going to go to a black person for comfort about reading about how horrible racism against black people is, right? Like that was a no-go. Even I knew that much at that stage. Before I had read enough work, before I had done a lot of the anti-racism work, I already knew that going to black people for emotional labor about that is not okay. But then that begs the question, like, where do you go? And it's made me think so much about how so many white people have really big feelings about slavery, about white supremacy, about racism, about the deeply racist history of our country. And we don't have a place to process those feelings. Like, your emotions are in a place to harm other people. When white people have emotions, we have really big emotions, and often, depending on where we are, people will prioritize our emotions over the emotions of other people. And so, even if our emotions are inappropriate at the time, there'll be people who will support us in the inappropriate emotions rather than help us to deal with them in an appropriate way. So much of the work that I do now is really holding space for white people to have feelings, and to process those feelings, because, as with anything, the only way out of a feeling is through it, right? Like, learn that in therapy. And I think that so many of us don't have access to the tools that will allow us to move through our feelings and into a place of more rational, sort of compassionate care for other people. And I think that is truly one of the biggest problems in our society now. So I don't know why I made this TikTok, other than I want to hear from other people who have experienced this, or who are working on this. Like, how did you move through your feelings, and how do you help other people move through their feelings? So if you're still here, thank you, and leave your comment below.